Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Thomas Summers Theater. Act 1, An Entrepreneurial Spirit. We begin our journey here at a train station in North Redwood, Minnesota. The year is 1886 and 22-year-old station agent Richard Warren Sears is hard at work when a unique situation finds him. Ah, you must be the jeweler, Edward Stegerson, right? You bet your elbow I am! Are you the man I gotta talk to about this? Yes, sir. I'll just need you to sign for it. You must be kidding! Look at this junk! They're watches. They're cheap! I won't take them! Good day, sir! Well, that was annoying. Guess it's time to contact the manufacturer and let them know the deal fell through. Oh well. What are you gonna... Wait a minute. Wait. Say, this situation gives me an idea. Sears contacted the manufacturer, struck a deal, and began selling the watches at a profit. He made a $2 profit off every watch. That's like $63 per watch today. He kept it up, selling watches to fellow railroad agents through mail order. He noticed two things any good businessman needs to succeed: a market and a means. The market is the rural population. Anyone living in a city can get a wristwatch pretty easily. Just go to a store. But for someone living in the middle of nowhere, it's not so easy. Being able to tell the time is super useful. So given the opportunity, plenty of people would jump at a wristwatch. As for means, ordering watches by mail seems pretty lucrative. People could order his watches from anywhere. Just think, his market is anyone who knows he exists. He kept up this business of selling watches for about 6 months, and then, by the end of it, he earned nearly $5,000, equivalent to about $158,000 today. Using all that money, Sears started a mail-order watch company in Minneapolis, named the R.W. Sears Watch Company. But with more success comes more problems. Now that Sears had his own company and everything, people kept sending him broken and defective watches back, hoping to have them repaired. So, Sears put an ad out for a watch repairman, and soon he had an answer. "Heya, fella. You Sears? That's right. You the watch repairman?" "Sure am. Alva C. Roebuck at your service." "I like the cut of your jib, Roebuck." Together they expanded, moved to Chicago, and established a mail-order catalog in 1887. The catalog sold watches, diamonds, and jewelry, offering a money-back guarantee. They kept it up for 2 years. Then, Sears sold the business for $100,000, moved to Iowa to become a banker, hated it, moved back to Minnesota, and started another business with Roebuck as his new partner. Together, they made a business focused entirely on the mail-order aspect, named Sears, Roebuck Company. Act 2, The Catalog That Changed the Nation. The Sears, Roebuck Company was a revolutionary new type of business. Sure, Sears had already been using mail order as a means of business with his watches and jewelry, but he took that idea and went wild with it. He thought, why just stop at jewelry? I have here a copy of the 1897 Sears, Roebuck & Co. catalog, and let me tell you, this catalog had it all, and I do mean it all. Everything you could possibly need, like ammonia, bow ties, flowers, front doors, beards, waffle irons, family cheese-making apparatuses, children's kilt suits for children, watches, of course, a classic for Sears, electromedical batteries, combs, whose mascot seems to be a jaguar for some reason, plum pudding, cigarettes and cigars, infants' long cambric slips. I like the pictures for this one. Cowboy hats, wigs, rifles, revolvers, shotguns, church bells, free shipping, cameras, ovens, a dog power generator, Brown's vegetable cure for female weakness, nerve and brain pills, opium, hypodermic syringes, Dr. Rose's French arsenic complexion wafers, opium cure, which I gotta say, genius, because you hook them on the opium and then you hit them with the opium cure, female pills for weak women, obesity powders, and pianos. The catalog was revolutionary. It allowed even the farmer in the middle of nowhere to get all of his farming tools, animal feed, and opium just through the mail. Before Sears, these folks living in rural areas had no reasonable chance to get certain things without being extorted, but with the catalog, they could get whatever they wanted, for fairly cheap, too. Sears didn't stop expanding. They kept getting bigger and bigger and dipping their toes into different markets. They launched Kenmore brand appliances and Craftsman tools in the 1920s, then launched the insurance company Allstate in 1931. They just kept growing, ingraining themselves as an American staple. By the 1950s, they had over 700 stores and were expanding into Mexico and Canada. Sears was a giant, an unstoppable force, and they only kept getting more ambitious up to the 1970s when they built the Sears Tower. At the time, it was the tallest building in the world. At this point, Sears was the largest retailer in America, living in the largest building in the world. They seemed unstoppable. They seemed too big to fall. Sears kept up its dominance through the 70s, but in the 80s they shifted away from retail, focusing more on financial services. They bought Dean Witter Reynolds Organization Incorporated, a stockbroker, and Codwell Banker & Co., a real estate broker. Then, they launched Discover Card in 1985. They kept up this practice throughout the 80s, not paying close enough attention to retail and the market surrounding it. While they focused on financial services, stores like Kmart and Walmart were able to steadily gain ground, slowly flattening out the huge spike Sears had. Then, in the 90s, Walmart surpassed Sears as the #1 retailer in the US, and as if that wasn't bad enough, Kmart was trailing behind Walmart in second. Sears was starting to suffer. Losing heavy profits from the retail division, Sears started tumbling. They began taking apart the financial business it had been spending the last decade building to try and revive their retail empire. Then, in 1993, Sears closed their catalog division. The 1993 Sears catalog would be their final one. The death of the catalog meant letting go 50,000 employees. At the time, Sears was hailed for this decision. It was a drastic measure, but at the time it seemed it was a necessary one to save the business. However, in retrospect, Sears had tons of warehouses dedicated to moving products ordered by Americans all over the US. Of course, mail order just wasn't what it used to be. And it's not like Americans would have a more convenient way of ordering things within the next decade or anything. Oh, wait! If Sears hadn't scrapped the catalog, they could have switched to an online ordering system at the turn of the internet age. Meaning, they would have literally had the resources to do what Amazon did, warehouses full of employees shipping products, but a decade earlier. Of course, at this point, Sears was so in the hole from neglecting the retail sector for so long, I doubt they could have even lasted. And in 1994, they sold the Sears Tower. And Sears wasn't the only one suffering. Kmart, despite being second place to Walmart, kept expanding at a rate it just could not handle. And in 2002, Kmart declared bankruptcy. They both were holding on the best they could, but it was obvious things were going downhill. In 2005, the two failing companies merged when the Kmart Holding Corporation purchased Sears for $12 billion. The two combined and became the Sears Holding Company. It didn't do much, though. Sears and Kmart kept facing constant closures and cuts as time continued. Its last profitable year was 2010, and in 2018, Sears filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They both have continued to struggle along, and the current number of Sears and Kmarts in the U.S. now, as of May 2022, are 3 and 22. Sears was once a titan of industry, but ultimately, misguided ambitions and overconfidence got the best of them. Their catalog was revolutionary for its time and shaped the American perspective on shopping. But that success was only going to stay with hard work and upkeep. The man who founded the once great company kept innovation without losing his roots, but somewhere along the way, this lesson was forgotten. Now it's likely they'll end up like so many other businesses after the pandemic, an empty building with a lightbox gravestone.